Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Dan Ormsby from SparkGeo. We're one of the development partners in the project. And as Alistair says, we're kicking off with a look at the resource catalogue user interface, which is something we've been working on over the last month or so. So what we're looking at here is kind of the landing page for the resource catalogue, the new landing page. First of all, what you'll see is there's a whole load of different data sets displayed in this landing page. So each one of these kind of cards that we look at here is a collection of data. So within each of these collections, there are a whole load of individual data scenes and images or data sets of different dates. But this is our kind of discovery page where, if you like, you can find out what's in there overall. You'll see quite a lot of these have a sort of the same image here of well, it's actually, I think, a bit of Sentinel data near the Isle of Wight with the logo on top. That's a kind of placeholder image for each of the collections. Should really have its own sort of thumbnail image in due course. So you can see some of these have been onboarded already, but this is still a little bit of work in progress, just getting these images in, and we'll see those happen between now and the end of March. But you'll see already there's a whole range of different data in, from data sets that are sort of Earth observation based, so sort of the Airbus data and commercial data and Sentinel data and climate observations and so on. But that's probably a little bit sort of overwhelming, seeing it all in one go. So we've provided a whole load of different filters along the top here, by which you can very quickly sort of drill down to discover what data you might be interested in. So, for example, if your particular area of interest was climate data, we can filter the whole collection listing down to those that are just climate data sets. That's to say observations. If it's climate projections, you can see we've got stuff like CMIP and Cordex and UKCP data. So these will be climate forecasts. Or optical and multispectral. So you get the gist. You can sort of fairly quickly filter down into different types of data available. You can also use these kind of filters in combination of with each other. So, for example, if you're particularly interested in commercial data and that's open data, commercial data or open data, you can easily sort of switch between the two. And if you wanted to, perhaps see what data was available at a particular resolution, so that's all commercial data available at less than 1 meter, you can sort of quite quickly sort of build up these filters. We can also organize this page by grouping the data. So actually, if we're interested in grouping it by that data category again, you can see we've kind of sorted this with all of the climate data, climate projections, optical, and so on. So a very kind of quick way of, if you like, slicing and dicing this page to understand what's kind of in it. Each one of these kind of collection cards has then got sort of further information associated with it. So if you want to understand a little bit more about the content of the data before you dive into it, you can see a nice kind of high-level description and some keywords. So this is the sea surface temperature that's been onboarded via the EOSIS project. We'll have a look at that in a little bit more detail in a minute. And you can see some sort of other examples of the sorts of information that you get displayed in these detailed cards. So I think what we're going to do is spend a little bit of time now sort of drilling down into some of the open data. Before we do that, one of the things to sort of point out is you might see on these collection cards, we've got some icons here. Some of them have sort of pound signs in to indicate their commercial data, and some don't, to indicate their optical data. And we'll be planning as well to have some kind of icons in there to reflect on the data quality metrics that Sam was talking about in the earlier session. So let's dive down a bit more detail now into some of the actual individual data sets from the scene. So I'm going to filter down now on open data that is optical. And you can see we've got the Central 2 ARD data in with a bit more information here. So this is the data that's come in from DEFRA and the JNCC via the CEDA catalogue. And you can see I can open up this collection, and this now takes us into a map view where I can explore the individual data scenes within the collection. So what you'll see first of all is, as I zoom in, you'll see we've got a list of data sets down the side here. And as I zoom in, you'll see various scenes highlighted on the map. and I can keep zooming in, and this list down here will just dynamically update to wherever I panel zoom to. Oops, how do I do that? Sorry, that's a Mapbox clever feature that sometimes likes to trip us up. Right, yeah, so zooming in, you'll see the individual scenes displayed, and we can hover on the map to see, hover on the icon here to see where those are in the individual zoom area. So if we want to display those, it's simply a question of turning the data on, and you can see we very sort of quickly managed to display the data, the optical data that we've got for that particular scene. In addition to kind of interactively zooming, if there's a particular area of interest that we have, for example, in this area on the North Gower, you can simply digitize your area of interest, and then the filter list down the side here is, if you like, fixed to just those scenes that intersect with your AOI. So you'll see as we look down this list here, quite a few of these images have quite a lot of cloud in them. Hey, it's Wales, you know, who'd have thought? And so what you might want to do is look at some which do have cloud in it. It might be your particular area of interest is fine, but it may also be the case that you really want to find sort of more cloud-free scenes. So within each collection, there's a filter option that pops out, and these are context sensitive to the type of data that you're looking at. So, you know, for optical data sets, cloud cover is, it's one of the sort of key criteria that people want to search on. If it's things like, you know, SAR data, it might not be cloud cover because there is no cloud in SAR data, but it might be things like the polarization mode or other properties to do with the data set. And you can see, you know, just by dragging this slider down, we've now got a nice list of scenes here that intersect our area of interest that are all kind of pretty cloud free. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more to this area where I drew this AOI, so we can see the data in a little bit more detail, and you can see there's some quite nice data here. We might want to look at data from different dates to, I don't know, perhaps find, if you're maybe interested in these kind of salt marshes, taking a look at data under different kind of tidal conditions. So, for example, there's one of these mud flats and salt marshes when the tide is a little bit further out. So one of the things that we've got within the hub is a very kind of powerful rendering engine. So all of this is dynamically displayed through this rendering engine on the hub. And we can in fact sort of dynamically re-render the data as well. So at the moment we haven't added the user interface for this in here in terms of the options of selecting these things, but what I've done here is change the parameters of what we're displaying so that rather than using the visual bands, the sort of RGB bands, we're displaying a false color composite, and that obviously highlights the areas of kind of vegetation and bare soil and other different sort of areas of sort of crop growth. So that's a sort of fairly common thing to do, and I think, as I say, we'll be introducing some sort of tools within the UI that allow you to dynamically control that kind of stuff yourselves and do things like sort of stretch the visualization of the bands, all of which is just done through the rendering engine behind the scenes. So let's quick look at sort of filtering and visualizing data. Now, probably one of the things that most people would be interested in is the metadata that is associated with these scenes. So you'll see there's a little I button on each of the scenes down here. So this is, I've clicked on the one we're looking at. And this tells us all of the metadata about this particular scene. So you can see we filtered it on cloud cover. But if there are other things you might need to know about, such as, you know, the details of the instrument or more details about the precise, you know, time and date that's captured and so on, you can simply access that through the metadata icon here. This also gives us access to assets. So when we talk about assets, what we mean are essentially the files that are associated with this scene. So the one that we're looking at typically is the main data set, which is the cloud optimized GeoTIFF. This is one that you can just download directly from within the asset catalog. But it might be that if you've got some workflow, you actually need maybe the cloud mask so you can filter out which bits of the scene are valuable data versus which bits are cloud. Or it might be that you've got, I don't know, a workflow that needs topographic shadow mask. So again, you can use that to access that data and simply get to what you need to. In addition, you'll see there's an additional resources tab. This allows you to get to the underlying content of the metadata of the catalog. This is a bit technical, but this is the stack record. If you're familiar with stack, it stands for spatiotemporal asset catalog, and it's the standard on which this is based. But that might mean something if you're a developer or data scientist used to working with things at that kind of level. What you'll also see is there is similar metadata available kind of at the collection level. We've already seen some of this, so the description and the data tags, or the keyword tags rather, on that card when we open the collection. But at this level, what we're looking at here is more the metadata about all the different options that we've got within the data set itself. So, what different types of sort of, I don't know, orbit number or tracking direction there are within the data. This also includes a tab for providers. So this is where you can link through to find out the data provenance of where the data has come from. And also a tab for data quality. So this is where some of those kind of metrics that Sam showed in the earlier presentation will be integrated within the catalogue. So I think that's a quick look at the sort of main features of sort of visualizing data, filtering data, and getting to a different metadata. I want to just sort of drop back now and just have a quick look at a couple of other things in there. Obviously, that was Earth observation data of a sort of more traditional sense, but there's also kind of derived metrics within the catalogue, derived from EO. So this is, for example, a data set of sea surface temperature. We haven't yet got the thumbnail icons in here, but this is a sea surface temperature scene from the 31st of March, so you kind of get the idea of how that might be visualized. Or another interesting one is, let's have a look, this climatology one, which is similar. It's also sea surface temperature, but in this instance, we've chosen to set up the visualization to use the percentage of the sea at that observation time that is actually sea ice. So you can see there, the ice sheets around the Greenland area, or the concentration of ice around the Greenland area. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of some of the sort of visualization capabilities of the hub. Slightly conscious of time, so I probably need to wrap up. But one last thing that's kind of really important is commercial data. So I think there are more talks about this later on, but the catalogue also features extensive data from both Planet and Airbus. I've opened up the Airbus SAR collection. I mentioned filters earlier. We looked at filters for cloud cover for the optical data. When you're looking at SAR, of course, that doesn't matter so much, but what you might be interested in is things like the what the look direction is and what perhaps the polarization mode is. So these are kind of context sensitive filters that you'll see that appear and are available according to the type of collection. And the same will be true with things like the climate projection data sets as well. And you'll see as we filter down these things, you've got a little bit more detail on this card here, telling us what the data is that we're actually looking at. I think for the commercial data, I think we've got some ability to, here we go, I wonder where that was, to kind of show a preview thumbnails on the map. So these are different, obviously looking at different lower resolution thumbnails that we're looking at for the those SAR scenes that are over, in this case, over the Irish Sea. That one's a little bit further west. So so you can kind of get the gist of what we're able to show there. But the important thing is that you can also purchase the data through via the Catalogue UI. So this does require an account on the hub. So when you go to purchase the data, it asks you to sign in. So you do need an account. And then when you hit the purchase button, you'll see that we come up with a sort of confirmation of what the data is that you're actually purchasing in terms of all the various properties that have come out of the catalogue, and then some additional details on things like, the territory that you wish to use that data in and the license terms under which you're using it. And then you can tick on the consent that you've read the various T's and C's before you finalize that order. Just as a quick heads up, it's pretty similar for the commercial optical data sets, although there's a little bit more when you come to purchasing those in terms of the options that are available. So this is the Airbus Spot Catalogue, but exactly the same will be the case with Planet, where we've got some different product bundles, so sort of analytic bundles, basic bundles, and so on. And I think according to what bundle you select, there'll be a different set of scene assets that are delivered back to you straight into your workspace. But the integration for that is all handled kind of behind the scenes, if you like, so that you just effectively get the data that you've ordered delivered straight back into your workspace. I think some of that's been covered in more detail later in some of the sessions from the commercial data providers and possibly some of the demonstrations. And I think that's all from me for now. Just having a look at my crib sheet. I think I covered off most of the things I intended to. So yeah, I guess back to
Brilliant.
Alex.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Dan. That was very comprehensive. Really interesting as well to see some of those things, particularly the bit around the Gower. You could pick up the seaweed out in the one of the areas. Yeah, that was quite cool. Right, let me see.